All right. Hi, guys. See, the very highlights of my student teaching. What I learned, I think the most was I had to learn a lot about preparation and having really good lesson plans that were ready to go. And at first, when I would write a lesson plan, I think what I would do is I would sort of kind of write it and I would say, all right, I'm going to do this song. Like, I'm going to go through measures X, Y, and Z, and I would do that for each song. And that was what I did at the middle school. For a while. And then in time, I started to get more detail. I started writing some more details, and I started putting just specific things I thought that might mess up. Maybe something with vocal registration, maybe something with an interval I knew they were going to mess up, whatever. But then I got to the elementary school, and I had Trish Ranson at the elementary school. She's really awesome if you never got to observe her. And what happened there was I found that I started taking my lesson plans and I started planning out every single step to the best of my ability. And it's something that I'm still working on today. I still worked on it today. My last two classes went really great because I had a plan for what was going to be in between every single one of my activities. So I started with, oh, we did a warm up. And then the second we got done with the warm ups, as I'm moving, I'm trying to sing part of the next thing. I get done with that and I'm asking him a question about the next song. It was a Christmas song, and I asked him a question about the song. Get them singing there. The two songs I did had lyrics that tied together. So my point is I got the whole thing to flow together. Whenever I did that, I was able to kind of create this structure that I had been lacking before. So planning ahead and having good lesson plans was one of the biggest things I took away. The other thing I took away that I didn't expect to take away as much is that when you start getting those little details together to make your whole bigger, I found that that was something that did not come naturally to me, and it was hard to me. And I realized that, to a degree, for a while, it was affecting my attitude because I felt like I wasn't doing well. And I realized I needed to just look forward, not look backward, and that having that positive attitude on top of having a really nice lesson plan it's just as crucial. I realized that having a good attitude made me realize how some directors that I've seen it before. I'm sure some of us have seen it before. Some directors literally kind of just get by on a good attitude. Like they're a really nice person and they can sing. Like maybe they sing pretty well. Maybe they play the piano pretty well, so the students trust them, and they just kind of get by just reacting to everything that they've seen instead of planning ahead. So now what I'm working on is finding all of my little pieces and trying to anticipate problems, and after that adding together this really nice attitude, like being somebody who's very emotionally stable, being somebody who is somebody that kids want to look up to, being somebody that I would want to teach me, and taking all of that and kind of making it come together is, I think, the next step for me is taking all those little pieces. And this has taught me a lot about myself. Something with me and it was Miss Ranson again, we talked about was finding what might cause me to get off. Like for a while, if there was a kid that would just, an elementary school kid, they just do something, that would actually kind of throw me off and I would forget what my next thing was for a second. So part of it was I had to learn kind of to thicken my skin to when I see something like that. A, 99% of the time, it has nothing to do with me. They're just being a kid. And two, it's more than okay to just look them in the eye and say, that's not what you're supposed to be doing. I need you to sit down right now. And then they do it. And especially today, I was able to end on a really good note, is that when I was seeing a behavior thing, I would hop on it right away. I would ask them, is that what you're supposed to be doing? And they would say no. And then, you know what you're supposed to be doing? Yes. And say, okay, do it. And by kind of hopping on the behavior right away, it made my whole class go smoother with my little pieces, with my good attitude, and everything kind of coming together. So I was really happy with my last two classes today that I was able to end well. Overall, this isn't something you learn in a semester. But I was really lucky to have I think, some of the best cooperating teachers that I could have had. Um, Cheryl Stroop kind of just threw me into the deep end and just kind of said teach, and then she would offer feedback. And I got to kind of learn how to piece together a concert, how to really connect with the kids, how to be myself. That can be scary sometimes. I think is just being yourself in front of students. Um, Learning how to filter that self too, and so I had that with the middle school, and then with the elementary school kids, it was learning more about this is how you really structure your day. So I kind of had one side that was a very personal side, one side that was much more technical. And now that I've kind of stretched, my brain feels kind of stretched at the end of some of the days, because I've been working really hard to make changes and to be more organized. And at the end of the day, it's starting to come together, and I'm going to keep going. And it's going to help me in graduate school. It's going to help me when I teach high school. Before this, I didn't think I wanted to teach anything but high school or middle school, and now I would love to teach just about anything. So, go Pokes.